Hi everyone, I'm Huub Hildenbrand. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we will start a new adventure. It's a course on functional harmony or tonal harmony, and it's function based, so tonic, subdominant, dominant, these functions. And we take a more linear approach. So we also combine this with the chord scale theory, so with scales, and also arpeggios. So let's get right into the endless ocean of music. I will refer now to this PDF you can also download. Just go in the description down below, there is a link. And the first lesson of this course is about the tonic. So what is tonic? What does it mean? We're dealing here with tonal harmony or with tonality, and tonality is actually defined by there is one note where all these others gravitate to. That's tonality. So if we have a note where we have the feeling here it's really resolved in a way, this when we reach that note we do not want to move anymore, or we can't even resolve that note more. It's just very, very resting, and it's also like in tonal music, it's mostly the last note in a tune, or on this note the chord is based for ending a tune to really have a feeling of rest. And this is actually quite interesting that this tonality exists actually. Has to do a lot with a harmonic series, of course. And I think it's very important and very wise if you're aware of these forces which exist in music, and especially in tonal music. And also what we are dealing here with, I really try to really concentrate on like Western harmony, but to in a way to separate this a bit, I try to, from like other music cultures, especially from Makam music or Raga music, but they are all connected. And I thought I would just lead you now through the different harmonic possibilities, melodic possibilities in tonality, in functional harmony, and so that we have a very good and clear idea about that subject, so that we later on can also approach other cultures and see how they are very similar, or how the concepts are similar and can be just applied to other cultures. Okay. So we are in this course we are dealing with the tonic E, and we will start the first lessons in E minor, and then later we go to E major. And by doing that, later on we have all these PDFs and all these explanations and all these harmonic structures or melodic structures and scales, which form our core of Western harmony or tonal music here in the like European harmony system. Okay, so the tonic, we take the tonic E and we start with E minor. So on the PDF, you see there are 4 different scales. 4 different scales for E minor. We have E Aeolian, harmonic minor. Then we have melodic minor. And when I say melodic minor, I mean there is a separation or a different definition actually. In classical music you say melodic minor is actually the form I just played, ascending, and descending you have Aeolian. But I take this as complete separate scales, because also this idea of to ascend only with the notes of melodic minor and descend with Aeolian is also not true in classical music. So there's also this term jazz melodic minor. Jazz melodic minor actually means exactly what we are doing here. We just take this one scale, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and we don't care whether we play this upwards or downwards. And that's actually just in general for all these scales we are dealing here in this tonal harmony course. Okay, and the last is Dorian, which is not so common in tonal in a tonal piece. But it's a very nice scale, and you can of course use this also in an E minor piece for a special color. It has a lot of it's actually like a really medieval or Renaissance sound. It's like a Gregorian in Gregorian chant you have this Dorian, and it's a very nice modal scale actually, and we will also talk more about that scale. But why is it written here on this page? Actually, this is a kind of a complete set of these minor scales, and the interesting thing is when you can compare all these scales, then you see that the first 5 notes is just a minor pentachord. So we have just E, F sharp, G, A, B. And the upper tetrachord, actually, between B and E, these 4 scales give us all possibilities of combining a minor 6th or major 6th with a major 7 or minor 7. So when we take Aeolian, we have a minor 6th and a minor 7. When we take harmonic minor, we have a minor 6th and a major 7. When we take melodic minor, we have a major 6th and a major 7. And when we take Dorian, we have also a major 6th but a minor 7. So these are all 4 possible combinations. So in a way, when you put all these 4 scales together, you can say you have a minor pentachord, and then you have a kind of a chromatic area, so to speak. I mean, the possible material in minor, if you are on a minor chord. If you are on a static E minor chord and you call this is a tonic, you have these four possibilities, and you can use different combinations. Of course, I would not say just use them any way you want. You can use them actually very, very effectively and very, very wisely, because it all depends how you approach the notes. So what you can put them all into one one piece, for example, or I improvise something, and then you and tell you what I'm doing, and I try to combine all these scales. So let's take Aeolian. Now harmonic minor. Now melodic minor. Now Dorian. So I always, I'm very clear about the different characteristic notes and how to use them to make music with them. Okay, let me just improvise a little bit and you hear this what happens actually. Okay, so in this improvisation, I was really clear about what kind of which scale I'm in at each moment. Okay, and the interesting thing is actually that you never get a feeling of losing your tonality, and that's the important thing here. We always try to find ways which make the chord at the moment very, very clear. Because with these scales we just have like 7 notes, and we can, in theory, we can just play anything. But when we just play anything, we can, the outcome can be like very very different than feeling E as home bass or as a tonic. Because we have all different kinds of chords also in this scale. So that's why I'm always also forcing my students that they should really think also these triad notes, these triad, this E, G, B in E minor, to be really sure that these are actually the core pillars of that sound. And the other notes of the scale, they're just like flavors, or they are different ways how to approach these chord tones, or how to create tension. And to make a chord really clear, we can play just arpeggios, of course, and the normal arpeggio to play, especially in classical music, and very practical, is really to play an E minor arpeggio. Then we make the chord very, very obvious and clear. But in this course, we also will discuss some other arpeggios we can play, and that's also very. It's something very important in my music, and what I found out to use different arpeggios. And let's don't talk too much. We see in this in this. There's this place where on the first line on the right we have some chord symbols in this with this line around it, And these are actually arpeggios we can use. The first we already talked about, E minor, but then we have E minor / F sharp, and this is like this symbol comes actually from Miguzik. I learned it from him, and it's not really that it's an E minor with an F sharp in the bass. It's, in this case, it's a symbol for E minor with F sharp. So we have an E minor triad and we add an F sharp. And we can play this as an arpeggio and we can improvise with this sound. It's a very nice, beautiful sound which really gives us the E minor tonality, the E minor quality. And we don't, I mean, it makes this sound very clear, but also has some extra note in between. Let me play it for you. E minor with F sharp. And then you have also E minor with an A, so with a fourth degree in it. That sound. One reason why these two 4-part arpeggios work, E minor with F sharp or E minor with A, is that they just fill these 2/3 of the basic triad, and just by doing that they always, in a way, they always sound a bit like passing tone or changing tone. They're just in between, and mostly when you just improvise with these structures, they resolve very, very soon, and so you're not questioning the chord. It's just you add some extra note to it. And so like F sharp is in between of the first third. Between E and G, you have F sharp. And then between G and B, you have an A. You can use this. You can use it in different ways. It's possible to make other notes more sounding as like home bass, make them more. I mean, to question the tonal center E, but you have to do something to really that this happens. If you just play like melodies with these four notes in that arpeggio, you are quite safe that it's always sounding as this E minor tonality. So, and if you are conscious about you're playing in E minor, and then you also mostly your ear will also guide you to that it resolves to the chord tones or to the E at the end of a phrase. Okay, so you have these two 4-part structures. Then you have also written there, it's an E minor major 7. That's just a normal 7th chord arpeggio you can use. And remember, it's all about arpeggios. Most of them you also can of course use as in a harmonic way as chords, but here they are really meant as arpeggios. And E minor major 7. Okay, that's also one possible arpeggio. And one interesting thing. I mean, I talked about the classical, the idea in real classical music that you have this melodic minor form. In a way, it's, I mean, like melodic minor use C sharp, D sharp up, and D and C down. In a way, that's you can say that really explains the tendencies of the notes, and especially the D sharp, because the D sharp is a leading tone, and you need the leading tone to be really to have a really clear E minor tonality in like Western music. You have a lot of chords, and then you need at least at the end, you need this D sharp going to E to really confirm this tonality. So, for example, you can play Aeolian all the time. E minor Aeolian. Show like D sharp, E, and then it's really clear. Ah, okay, E minor, and it feels really restful, and it has a lot of tension. This note and resolves just one half step below the tonic, which has the most gravitational force. So this is a real resolution, and that's the same thing in major. It's the same idea of leading tone. It's the same in Turkish music, where you have like yedin, which is called the leading tone. But of course, there sometimes the leading tone is not a minor second, but a major second lower, or even a minor third, or augmented second lower. Anyway. Okay, what else? Then one thing here. Actually, the major 6 is a beautiful sound. It's a very bright sound, but it's not really supporting the tonality in a way so much, and it's not supporting the darker, more sad mood of minor. So this idea of B and then C has a lot of sadness, pain. Whereas a major 6 when you play the major 6, you tend to forget that you are in minor, and it immediately the tonality still is there. It's the E, but it immediately you have a feeling of E major. So when I do that, for example, when I go to melodic minor, And then I go down, and I show my G, my minor third. It's a bit like, whoops. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We are in E minor. Yeah, if I play G sharp, it's more what I expect in a way when I'm showing this C sharp. And that's quite interesting. So in a way, this C sharp, the major sixth, is a bit disturbing the whole thing. So you have to be careful. But there's one structure actually which or one chord. It's like C sharp minus 7 flat 5. This chord will be later on be very important in jazz. So also this course here is also like a preparation for more advanced harmony later, because jazz is just based on what we are just talking about, but we are talking a bit more into detail maybe here with certain tendencies and stuff. Where like a jazz in jazz they would just say, hey, you can play this scale and you can play that scale, and okay. But to really think about the tendencies and to always go back to the pure basic triad gives us a different view, maybe a more complete view on this topic of tonal harmony. Because the basic rules of tonal harmony, they're actually very simple, and these simple rules you have to really understand, like this harmonic series and this gravitation and these different forces. And then this is sort of the basis where you can just build higher and higher your musical building. Okay, and we are kind of in the second or third floor now. Okay, and this C sharp minor 7 flat 5, which you see in melodic minor, of course it would be also in Dorian, but Dorian is, as written there, more for the sake of completeness. So it's not really something we want to go too much into detail here. But C sharp minor 7 flat 5 is very often in jazz, it's very often a substitution for the tonic. So instead of going to the tonic, E minor, we go to that chord. And so the function is also like this chord has also tonic function. So it belongs here in this lesson about tonic. And the interesting thing, if you for example, if you see this very simple chord voicing, you see that you actually have an E minor triad here, yeah, G, B, E, and then you have a C sharp in the bass. And when you see this chord when you see it from the perspective of classical music, you would recognize this chord not as a chord on the 6th degree of the scale or something. No, you would say, oh, this is a tonic chord, an E minor chord with an added sixth, with an added major sixth, and this sixth is in the bass. And then you have this. You explain this structure, what you also use in jazz under the different term or different theory. So you have this symbol there, and that's how classical in functional harmony, how you say this, how you write this. You have a small t, small letter always means minor. So T is tonic, so a minor tonic chord, E minor, and then you have a sixth under it, and the sixth means under it, means it's in the bass. It's the lowest note. And then you have also a 5 written there, because in classical music an added sixth means you don't have the 5. So you have always the sixth instead of the 5. So if you want to have both, in our case, of course, in our case we need the B, the fifth. Then we have to write this. We have to add this. So it's a T with a 5 and 6 in the bass. Without this 5, it would be a C sharp diminished triad. So it's like in classical, the classical approach to explain this chord would be, okay, it's an E minor chord, but it has a major sixth instead of the 5. That's because you always analyze chords back to its basic function. So is it tonic, is it subdominant, or is it dominant? And all these 3 chords, they also have a perfect fifth, so they are stable sounds. They are stable sounds. And all these diminished and augmented sounds, which don't have a perfect fifth, they are considered as that they're just substituting the main function chords. So there is no function, separate function of a diminished chord or something. It's always okay. Mostly it's a substitution, or like it has a function of the dominant chord. But we will come to that later. On the page you see these A7 chord and this capital S, which means major subdominant. So that means normally in a minor tonality you have a minor subdominant. That's a standard. That's a standard. Play the subdominant in a minor composition in a minor tonality. Okay, it's a minor chord on the 4th degree. That's it. But it's also possible to have a major subdominant in a minor piece, and this is just added here that you see. Okay, with a melodic minor and with Dorian, they both have a major 6. So in both cases, you can also build a major chord on the 4th degree. That's all it's about. And then it's of course it's written there which scale it would be if you have E melodic minor, but you use it for A7, then it's like a Mixolydian sharp 11 scale, and in Dorian A7, E Dorian A7 would be Mixolydian. Then at the last line you see there's a term line cliché. That's a term actually from jazz music. And this represents quite good this what I talked at the beginning, that with these 4 different possible minor scales, you have a sort of chromatic portion of the scale. So you have the B, and then you have the C and 2 scales. In 2 scales you have a C sharp, and 2 other scales you have a D, and 2 other scales you have a D sharp. So you have this chromatic thing here, space here. So what you can do, what's a typical thing, is to have this line cliché of a moving root, for example. Moving root means the root will move, so it will start from E to D sharp, So that's a kind of a line cliche. Yeah, I'm sure you heard this before. Then you also have a moving fifth. Moving fifths. So for example. Yeah, I'm sure you know this system. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we covered the minor tonic here. Next lesson we go to the dominant, so we can combine already two functions, and that's actually the whole fun with this tonal harmony or these functions. It's also expressed in the term functions. They function in a certain way, so they want to move. So it's about movement, and the whole. I think most of the classical music is really the idea of what's the most important thing. You have moving chords. It moves from that chord to that chord to that chord, and then something unexpected comes, and so it's really not this idea what you have, especially in Indian music, where you're always in this one rag, in this kind of one scale, always one root at every time, and you just create the tension by the different tensions the notes have. In Western harmony, it's really about moving chords, moving roots, and so the more we progress in this course, the more we can also combine the different colors, and then it's becoming more and more music, so to speak. All right, if you like these lessons here on Guitar Academia, you can subscribe. You should subscribe to my channel, and also there's a possibility where you can donate. Just follow the link down in the description below. There is it's on my website. There's a button where you can also donate to support my work here. Okay, so thanks for watching. My name is Huub Hildenbrand.